Begoral Yechalk Haretz. However, you should divide the land with the lottery. V'amru Razal b'Sanhedrin Daf Mem Gimel Amud Beis. And our sages said in Gemara Sanhedrin, Sha'al Yoshua la'Achan, that Yoshua asked Achan, Bebakashu mimcha, al totzi lo zalagoralos, and a request from you, do not make it look bad for the lotteries. Shasida Eretz Yisrael shetischalik begoral, that in the future the land of Israel will be divided with the lottery. Shenemarach begoral Yechalk Haretz, like it says, rather with a lottery you should divide the land. So the lottery that chose Achan as the one who took loot from the battle, he should not pretend that it's not true. Vatosfos kasvu sha'af al gav de be'aretz hayurim v'tumim. And the Tosfos writes, that is, that even though in the land of Israel you had the Urim and Tumim, Vainu Kamayim Razal, Baba Basra, if so, it shouldn't matter if you say bad things. You deny the truth of the lotteries. Ach bechedushe agados tiretz. So because you could just simply ask the Urim and Tumim. But so the Marsha answers, Shehevi lo raya shal hasafek misbarer al pi hagoral mitoras Moshe bechalukas ha'aretz yain sham. But rather he's bringing a proof that on something that's a doubt, we clarify it through a lottery. This is something that we learn from the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu when we divide the land. But first we can still ask that the doubt could be clarified through the Urim and Tumim and the Goral. Why do we need just the Goral? But rather we can say that the truth is that the question Tosfos asks is truly a strong question. The intention of Tosfos is that we're talking about the division in the world to come, which is through the Holy One, blessed be He Himself. Shigams and Nikra Goral, that's also called a lottery, and like we'll explain, God willing, but it's still not the perfect answer. So he says, that one seah in Yehuda is worth the same as 5 seahs in the Galil. It was only divided with the lottery, Shenemar Ach Begoral, like it says, but only with a lottery. And it was only divided with the Urim and Tumim. Shenemar Al Pia Goral, like it says with the lottery, Haketzad, how is this? Elazar Melubash Urim and Tumim, that Elazar would wear the Urim and Tumim. And Yeshua and all of Israel would stand in front of him. And you had the lots of the tribes and the lots of the borders and boundaries were in front of him. And he would say with Ruach Hakodesh that Zvulun is going to come up, for example, and the border of Akko is going to come up with him. Taraf bekalpi shel shvatim, and then he would take from the lots of the tribes, v'alabiyadu Zvulun, and upward comes Zvulun. V'taraf bekalpi shel tchumin, v'alabiyadu tchum Akko, and he would then take from the lots of the boundaries and the borders, and it would come up in his hand the borders of Akko, just like he said, and he would continue with the lots and so forth. I'll be the Urim Tumim and the Goralos together, Yain Sham, but the division of this world is not like the division of the world to come. That this world, if a person has a field, so they love on Ein lo sadeh pardes. So they pardes Ein lo sadeh lavan. So he doesn't have an orchard. If a person has an orchard, they don't have a wheat field. But in the future, no one will be missing something. They'll have both, and they'll have in the mountains and in the lowlands and in the valleys. Meaning to say they'll have greater riches. And so you're going to have people with different types of fields and so forth. Shenemas sharuvein echad. Shar Yehuda Echad, Shar Levi Echad, like it says, the gate or the portion of Yehuda is one, and of Levi is one, and Reuven is one, Yehuda is one, and Levi is one. Hakodesh Baruch Hu Yechalk lehem ba'atzmo, and the Holy One, blessed be He, divides for them Himself. Shenemar ve'elim machlokosam neum Havaya, like it says, and this is their division. Havaya says, Upei Sharash Pamzal al pasuk. And the Rashbam explains that according to the lottery implies the Urim and Tumim. And this, that it says that he would have intention with Ruach HaKodesh, it doesn't mean to exclude the Urim and Tumim. That Allah stood with Urim and Tumim and had Ruach HaKodesh doesn't mean that it was a separate Ruach HaKodesh from the Urim and Tumim. Rather, it was the Urim and Tumim according to the Rashbam. That they would first ask the Urim and Tumim, and this would calm down the minds of Israel. And the fact that the lottery would come up exactly like he had first Nevuah, the Nevuah for it, and they would know that this was a correct division, a straightforward division. And he would say that Zvulun is going to come up now. Yadi, into my hand, that Torah Bekalpi because of Ksav Shel Zvulun, and that he gets from he pulls from the lots the written word of Zvulun. V'haydid naktinu shelo keseder, and this that it puts it not in order. Shein lecha shum goral ola ala seder ela al yedei mikra, is because the lottery doesn't come up in an order, but rather it comes up by happenstance. I guess that's the fact that it mentions Zvulun and not Yehuda or Reuven, because it doesn't necessarily have to happen in order, because that's the concept of a lottery, that it doesn't necessarily come up in order, so it uses Zvulun. That according to the division of this world, that since it didn't last, Yechalk Begoral, so it was divided by the lottery. And not everybody had exactly what they needed, a complete thing. Why? Because it wasn't forever. And therefore Levi also didn't have a portion, because they are the portion of Hashem. But in the future, which is going to be forever, it's going to be from Hashem, not through the girl. V'hu Yechalk Chelek Gam L'Nachalas Levim, and he will also apportion for the Levim as well. And everyone will have a portion both in the mountains and the lowlands and in the valleys, that the division will be equal. And that's why it says to travel in front of Hashem in the lands of the living. Amar Aratzos Lashon Rabib, and says the lands, plural, because now not everybody has all the types of land. Only in the time to come, only in the time to come, everybody will have all the types of land, mountains and lowlands and valleys. ולהבין כל זה צריך להבין מה שכתוב במדרש רבה בשלח פרשה כ"ה, and to understand all this you'll have to understand what's brought in the Medrash Rabbah and Beshalach Parsha Kafei, that's explained in the first Mamar of Begoral. V'al pi kol hanal, and according to all of this, Yisfarish Mamar Razal the Baba Basra, we can explain the saying of our sages in Baba Basra, that the division of this world is not like the division of the world to come. Pardes, that in this world, if somebody has a wheat field, they don't have an orchard, a fruit orchard, but in the world to come, and the mountains and the lowlands and the valleys, Hakodesh Baruch Hu Yechalk b'atzmo, the Holy One, blessed be He, is going to divide by Himself. What does it mean in the mountains and the lowlands and the valleys? Sif Vav, so a mountain, Har Bina, that refers to understanding. Sha'avanim nichtzavim misham, that stones are mined from there. So the mountain is a place where stones come from. So that's the concept of the source of the letters. And when a valley, that it explains in Me'orei Or, that refers to Yisod Ima, that's the foundation of Ima, Yisod, Kisham Beis Omkim Yisod Abba Yisod Ima, because in Yisod, Ima is Nilubush Yisod Abba, so you have two depths, because you have the concept of Omkim. Emek is Omkim. So the valley is the concept of the depths of Yisod Abba and Yisod Ima. Ushfela lo nimtza perish klal b'me'orei or b'pardis u'be'archei akinoim. And the lowlands, we don't have a explanation of Me'orei or for it al pi Kabbalah. Anirali, and it seems to me that Tzemach Tzedek says Shbemes shfela ve'emek perish ha'pashut perish echad lehem, that truthfully the low and the valley, in the simple meaning, has one explanation. They're both the same concept. Like it's brought in Mitzudos and Yoshua, Raksha Bilashin Idish Perishvela, or Shabelashin Acher Perishvela, in Lashin Idish, in their neither, it means in their low, in the low. The Emek Shu Amo Kainu Tif Bilashin Idish. And Emek, which is deep, it's deep, so it's low and deep. So there's a difference in the language of so there's a difference in this language. V'yesh lomar, we can say Ki ha'emek shabein shnei harim nikra emek, that the concept of the valley is between two mountains, is the valley, is the depth. And the low place at the bottom of one mountain, so that's called the shvela, the low place. So we can say then that the concept of shvela, it is not in Yisod like Emek, But in Malchus, Masha'enkin Bina, which is not the case with Bina, who trained Rein La Misfashin Imachachma. Which is not the case with Bina, it's two friends that do not separate with wisdom, so the two mountains would be the depth of is a depth of, if you have two mountains together, so you have two depths. The depth of each mountain together, that's the Yesod of Abba and Yesod Ima that don't separate. But if you have just one, the depth of one mountain, so that's Bina L'chein Nikra Omek, and therefore with the two mountains together, and the depth of both of them is called the depth. Omek Yisham Bez Omkim, because there you have two depths of Yesod Abba and Yesod Ima. Mash'enkin B'Yesod Nukva Eina Trein Rein La Misfarshim Im Haziran Pein, which is not the case with the Yesod of the lower feminine aspect of Nukva. You don't have this idea of two friends who don't separate with Zeran Pin, because in the exile, the Holy One, blessed be He, which corresponds with Zeran Pin, it goes up very, very high and removed from in the divine presence. You don't have a yichud of Kuchbrichu Shchinte. V'ayim b'Zohar b'Shalach Kad Atika Kadisha Boila Ashta Birchan Ma Mikta Dekola, that when the holy Atik wants to send down blessings from the depth of all, Amikta Debeda, the depth of the pit, or the depth of the well, look at the explanation of the difference between Amikta Dekola and Amikta Debeda. And then Mefarshei Zohar, Vim Kenish Lomar Perush HaGemara Kain B'Olam Hazeh, or Kan B'Olam Hazeh Adam Yesh Lo Sadeh Lavan Ein Lo Sadeh Pardes Chulu. We can say, explanation of this Gemara now, if a person has a white field, they don't have an orchard, Perush Sadeh Lavan Perush Be Irchei Kinoim Shel Ha Samech He Daled B'Shem Tov Simen Tav Kuf Lamed Zayin Shezeu Hamon Am, that it brings in the Sefer, in this place, that this refers to that the multitude of the nation. So the field of the wheat, I guess the many stalks of wheat, correspond with the idea of a great nation. Begamara Hiskin Rebbe Besados Hainu B'Makom Shein Torah Ad Kan Lashono. And the Gemara says that Rebbe established in the fields, that is to say, in a place where there's no Torah. That's where Rebbe established, I guess, to bring Torah there. Hainu Kasher Osik B'Masa Umotin, that is to say, in a place where a person's involved in making money. Torah, and then in that place establishes set times for Torah study. So they're considered as part of the multitude of the nation. But he doesn't have the orchard. Perish Pardes ubitiferes. Pardes is the concept of beauty. Because of a Pardes which like Pardes says when he explains what the meaning of the word field is, that refers to Tiferes. So I guess the Sadeh Lavan might be Malchus perhaps. And look what's brought by Avraham by his Eshel concerning the idea of the orchard, with this idea of eating and drinking and escorting your guest. So perhaps that's an idea of Tiferes as well. Therefore, even if you have this field, this white field, but you don't have an orchard, So therefore, somebody who has a field that's an orchard, but they don't have a field of wheat, meaning to say that you can have this concept of tiferes, but you don't have the idea of set times for Torah study. So I guess it's the difference between Yoshvei Ohel and you have the Torah scholars and the workers, and each one has their Mila. That is to say that you have this person who's involved in Torah study and in service of Hashem and davening and prayer, but he doesn't have the Mila of the working person. But if you have a person who's involved in the world in Parnasa, it's possible that he won't have Torah and Tefillah. And our sages said that any Torah that doesn't have also work with it is going to, in the end, is going to be nullified. So the truth is that you want to have both of them. And our sages said, Tov Torah im derech eretz, that Torah is good with working. Shegias shneim mishkachas avon, that the toil in both of them makes one forget sin. So you want to have both the field of the pardes and the field of the white field of wheat. Amru shneim dafka. So the implication is that you have to have both of them. The toil in both Torah study and work will make you forget about sin. It's not just one or the other. And we can say, what does it mean, the toil in both of them? That when a person's involved in their work according to the ways of Torah and avoda specifically, that is, when all a person's deeds are for the sake of heaven, even in the time when a person's toiling in their work, because it's based on the Torah and the avoda that they do. Look at that Mamar. Al kol panim mispor sheish lo mashiach b'chinas sadeh pardes be'avoda v'lo yeh lo sadeh lavan. So it's nonetheless, we've come to the conclusion that you can have this idea of an orchard in your service, but you still don't have the maser mutton, you still don't have the field of wheat. Hainu kemo madregas hamon, that is to say, like the multitudes of ba'olam haba, but in the world to come, bahar uvishvelu be'emek, you'll have in the mountains and in the lowlands and in the valleys. V'hainu kol habechinos yachad, you'll have all these ideas together. Uba'avod ubechinas ahavas v'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha, and in service of Hashem, this is the idea of with loving with all your hearts and with all your soul, both in the physical and the spiritual. Zeh ubechinas bashvela kanal. This is like the idea of in the lowland. Sheshvela hi b'malchus, that the lowland is like malchus. Ubahar, on the mountains, ubechinas avaraba, is like the great love. Ubaomek, and in the depths, yesh lomar bechinas talumus leiv, that's like the depth of the heart, the hidden parts of the heart. Hainu bechinas reusa liba bechinas yichidah shebenefesh, is the depth of is the desire of the heart. This concept of the singularity of the soul, the soul as it is in its most singular form, together with Hashem, the yichidah. Or we can say kishvela, that the concept of the lowlands, hainu bechinas shiflus nava, it corresponds in avoda with the concept of humility and lowliness. Shanava hi b'tiferes, that, like we said, this refers to tiferes. The orchard refers to tiferes. So the humility also refers to tiferes, which is shiflus and shvela. So like it says in Pardes, but the Meorior says that this refers to Bina, which is Leah. So that's Shiflus and another. That's it refers to Bina. And when everybody has this aspect, so we're forced to say that a person has reached a very high level when they have all these things. That Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai wasn't sure which way they're going to take him. Because of the Chidush B'Nefesh, he didn't know the essential quality of his soul, how high it went. But if a person has all these things, so that's a concept of the surety of the makif as well. That's the concept of Yechida. That the shfela, if a person has in shfela as well, it's a concept. That's emek. Omek. If you have in the emek, that's Ru'us Liba, which is Yechidah B'Nefesh, or Shfela, which is a Nava. So it's the emek Dafka, which corresponds with Yechidah. V'zeu in Begoral, and that's the concept of the lots. Shel Olam above, the world to come, the division in the world to come. Hakodesh Baruch Hu be'atzmo Yechalk es haaretz, that the Holy One, blessed be He, Himself will divide the land. Ki hi neksiv, because it's written, Yechalk lifnei Hashem ba'artzos hachayim.